Hey everyone, before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from. It all kicked off with the faint sound of my boy's stifled sobs drifting through the corridor. I let go of the clothes hamper the instant it hit my ears. The home was wrapped in that heavy summer hush where every sound clings to the surfaces. My sister Lena had been keeping an eye on him while I sorted laundry in the adjacent space. That was our arrangement. She'd pitch in for a quarter hour while acting like it was a big kindness. As I got to the entrance, my mind couldn't process the sight. My kid, just 8, tiny, ghostly white, scared out of his wits, was dangling headfirst by his feet. A strap wrapped around his lower legs, slung over the wardrobe rod. His tee had bunched up over his head. His small limbs were waving wildly. Lena stood there gripping her cell phone, chuckling. "Lena," I yelled, my words breaking. "What on earth are you doing?" She gave a dramatic eye roll. "Chill out. I'm showing him some tough love. He drags his feet too much. Perhaps hanging like that will speed him up." I lunged ahead and fumbled with the strap. My fingers trembled so much I could hardly loosen the buckle. My boy let out soft whines, holding back tears, as if he already understood that letting feelings show would only worsen things. Once his soles touched the ground, he crumpled into my embrace, crying softly. His locks were matted to his brow with perspiration. I spun toward Lena. "You're twisted," I declared. She gave a casual shoulder lift, that grin locked in place. "Mom claims you're way too lenient. Quickness stems from scare tactics." Her exact words, not mine. I went rigid. That line, "Quickness stems from scare tactics." It echoed one my mother had tossed around years back, when I paused during tidying or took too long to reply. She'd smack the surface and say it again like a punchline she adored. Before I could fire back, my folks stepped in from the deck. My father's expression stayed even, nearly entertained, as if he'd stumbled into a comedy show. "What's with all the racket?" I gestured at Lena. She suspended my kid head down using a strap. Mom arched a brow, then eyed my boy. "He's okay. You're forever over the top." "Over the top?" I murmured. He might have been injured. Dad let out a laugh, propping himself in the frame. "Could be that'll motivate him to hustle more." "You spoil that child excessively. Quickness stems from scare tactics. You get that, right?" A chill ran through my entire frame. My mother's voice sharpened, laced with sarcasm. "We brought you up that way and see how great you became. You're simply overly sensitive." Lena snickered, snatching her cell phone from the bureau. He had it coming. He's sluggish, idle, exactly like his mother. I pulled my boy's head close to my torso. He was shaking, murmuring. "Mom, I didn't try to be sluggish. I planted a kiss on his crown. You did zero wrong." Mom's cackle cut the atmosphere. "Look, that's your issue. You shield frailty. Perhaps you ought to have been stricter like Lena. She manages without anybody." That instant, a part of me splintered. Not with a bang, not outwardly, but deep inside. A thin split in the spot where optimism once resided. I grasped my boy's palm and exited the space. I skipped the debate. I avoided shouting. I held back tears. I simply shut the entrance. Yet their chuckles trailed me along the passage. Supper that evening resembled dining, with unknowns sporting my relatives' features. My folks conversed with Lena about her fresh position, commending her assurance, her ambition, her triumphs. Each remark was a blade disguised as praise. "You ought to take notes from your sibling," Dad remarked, spearing his utensil into the baked poultry. "She avoids masking with alibis." Mom chimed in. "Perhaps if you quit playing the sufferer, you wouldn't have a child who weeps whenever voices rise." My boy perched next to me, diminutive and mute, nudging his veggies across the dish. His eyelids appeared puffy. I murmured, "Try a bite." But he merely wagged his head. Then Lena bent forward with a beam. "You know, he's all right now. Perhaps I ought to dangle him again tomorrow. Check if he hurries more next round." The utensil slid from my grasp and clanged on the dish. Nobody reacted. They simply continued munching. Mom exhaled. "See, you lack humor." That was their go-to defense. All brutality was humor. All degradation was growth. Post-meal, I discovered my boy huddled on his mattress hugging his plush wolf. His tiny tone wavered as he uttered, Grandma mentioned I must quicken or I'll become worthless. I settled beside him and smoothed his locks. You're ideal, I stated, but my voice box ached. I couldn't allow him to mature believing this was standard. From the corridor, I caught my folks conversing. She's blowing it out of proportion once more, Mom declared. She constantly does, Dad answered. Perhaps we went easy on her. Lena chuckled lightly. She'll settle once she recalls she has no other options. They were accurate. I remained in their residence. Following my split, I lacked alternatives for my boy. Each cent I made supported our survival. I figured temporary stay would grant time to accumulate funds. Rather, it purchased me shame. That evening, sleep evaded me. I stared at the upper surface, attuned to the squeak of steps and the far-off buzz of my mother's screen. My boy's gentle inhales nearby were my sole anchor. At dawn, I prepared morning meal. My motions were robotic. Scrambled eggs, bread slices, dairy. As I set a dish before my boy, Mom entered stretching. No feeding him prior to tasks, she noted. He hasn't merited it. I gazed at her, truly observed her. The icy certainty in her gaze, the slight pleased curve. He's a youngster, I said softly. She flicked a wrist. You were scouring surfaces at his stage. Could be why you grew so thankless. Lena descended, tresses flawlessly arranged, grinning at my quiet. No issue, Mom. I'll manage her. She requires a nudge on authority here. I stayed silent. I simply led my boy's palm and guided him outdoors. The early air carried damp turf scent. He glanced up, his little countenance still hesitant. Are we departing? He inquired. Not immediately, I replied, but shortly. That marked the initial occasion I truly intended it. The day's remainder blurred with murmurs and sly looks. My folks discussed me as if absent, labeling me delicate, unappreciative, feeling-driven. Lena embodied the favored one, boasting of work chats and feigning solace to Mom while sharpening each stab. By nightfall, they'd arranged another household meal. I remained in my space instead. I heard merriment below, utensils tinkling, seats shifting. Then Mom's tone floated upward. If she skips joining, she can have chilled scraps. Perhaps scare tactics will instill politeness. Quickness stems from scare tactics. Lena echoed and they all guffawed. I perched on the mattress rim, gazing at my image in the glass. My features seemed sunken, ashen, drained. Yet a fresh element lurked in my gaze, something keen. That evening I resolved they'd discover precisely how fear tasted. Not their control variety, the sort from forfeiting all presumed possessions. I settled my boy, kissed his brow, and murmured, It'll conclude shortly. He peered up, puzzled, yet believing. Will it turn all right, Mom? I affirmed, superior to all right. And as I dimmed the bulb, the downstairs glee resounded anew. Oblivious that by next sunrise, their cozy realm would begin fracturing bit by bit. Morning arrived with scents of scorched bread and fragrance. Lena occupied the cook area's seat, lacquering her fingertips while my mom browsed her device. Dad was exterior, hollering at the lawn worker over uneven lines. All appeared ordinary, so ordinary it prickled my flesh. My boy lingered behind me, gripping my fabric. He now shunned proximity to them. I served him some flakes quietly, feigning the quiver in my grasp was mere fatigue. Mom stayed focused. If you're remaining here, you'll adhere to our guidelines, she stated plainly, and your lad requires learning order. No further outbursts. No further idleness. Lena grinned. Perhaps we ought to suspend you next, little one. I sensed his tiny frame stiffen nearby. I faced her gradually. Repeat that. She lifted a brow. What? Lacks humor tolerance. Mom exhaled. Goodness, you're overly touchy. You behave as if everyone's against you. You ought to appreciate your sibling. She's aiming to strengthen the lad. The flake's utensil escaped my hold. Its ping on the container was minor, yet it boomed like storm in my skull. I avoided yelling. I even avoided winking. I simply regarded them, everyone, and grasped nothing humane remained in that area except me and my youngster. That evening, I started gathering minor items. Silently, gradually, his learning materials, my papers, some attire. I involved my boy in hushed tones. Utter nothing, I instructed. Not to Grandma at all. Certainly not to Aunt Lena. He affirmed. His small tone quivered as he said, "Will they anger?" "They'll puzzle," I replied. "Then frighten." "That's sufficient." Next day, I contacted employment. I informed my supervisor I required additional shifts, whatever accelerated escape. Then I passed hours quietly, tidying their home as usual since the act counted. They required faith in my compliance, but inwardly the change completed. I ceased recoiling at their taunts. I ceased weeping at their brush-offs. Each barb they hurled fueled. Each chortle counted down. That night, as Lena boasted at supper of an unearned advancement, I beamed. I'd already contacted the firm where she'd falsified her form to the property owner unaware of her unlawful subrental. Minor facts timed right can scorch beyond fabrications. Mom spotted the serenity on my features. "What prompts your grin?" she queried. "Nothing," I said gently, merely pondering how swiftly shifts occur. She scowled. "What's the implication?" I rose, clasping my boy's palm. "You'll witness." That marked the initial evening I departed the supper surface sans approval. They remained unaware, but it was their final evening dominating me. As I settled my boy for rest, he murmured, "Did we triumph?" "Not yet," I stated, "but we've ceased defeat." And initially I slumbered sans dread. 3 weeks on, the residents resonated differently. The glee vanished. Disputes shifted from me to finances, positions, secrets they concealed until I quit uniting them. I departed quietly pre-dawn. My boy and I carried essentials only. They awoke to quiet, a vacant space where my belongings sat, and a message merely stating no calls. They disbelieved initially. Texts arrived days. Commands, shame plays, phony worry. Quit immaturity. Bring the lad for weekend meal. You owe thanks. I scanned once, then barred each contact. I'd secured a tiny flat near work, sparsely equipped, yet tidy, secure, peaceful. My boy slumbered fully nights first in ages. I began hoarding each coin, crafting a realm unreachable, but I recalled their actions. I withheld pardon too. Lena initially sensed the quake. Her advancement evaporated post-verification, exposing bogus qualifications she'd flaunted. I needed no falsehoods, just relayed her statements to proper listeners. The firm she claimed turned away instantly. 2 weeks later, an ex-neighbor mentioned my folks' home loan renewal rejected, the dwelling they wielded over all. Their authority emblem suddenly burdensome. Rumors flew neighborhood-wide. The ideal kin facade split. I avoided appearing. I skipped boasting. I sent 0 notes. Quiet handled it. One dusk, as my boy and I strolled from the playground, I spotted their vehicle stationed opposite our structure. My mother occupied the side seat, eyes reddened, while father fixated forward, clenching the controls. Lena absent. My device vibrated. Unknown caller. I ignored. We ascended to our modest flat. My boy peered out, noted their vehicle lingering in shadows. "Here for apologies?" he asked gently. "No," I said. "Here since they forfeited control." He angled his head. "Us?" I faintly beamed. "No, themselves." Exterior, the motor halted. A rap sounded. 3 deliberate, the style my mom used pre-entering. I allowed echo, then sharper, urgent. I remained, palm on handle, inhaling evenly. My boy observed silently, awaiting. Then I retreated. "We ignore knocks for clamor now," I said. He affirmed, mounted the sofa, activated the tiny bulb nearby. The gentle amber glow bathed the space, cozy and calm. Via the viewer, I viewed my folks there, features blanched, lips shifting. I missed their speech. Initially ever, their tones failed me. They departed minutes later. The passage hushed. I settled my boy that night, hearing distant urban murmur. He dozed swiftly, secure in slumber. I perched by the pane-gazing stars via slim drapes, my faint image in the pane. I recalled their repeated phrase. Quickness stems from scare tactics. They were correct. Scare can hasten, but serenity renders invincible. When the device rang midnight, I ignored. Hey everyone, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from.